Hi, Kelsey. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. So tell me a little bit about your business and how do you serve your customers?
Yeah, my business, I have a health coaching business. My title is technically an integrative health practitioner. I have many other certifications as well on top of that, but most of my clientele come in for weight loss assistance. I also have my personal training certification, so I can create workout programs for them as well. Yoga certification, so if someone wants like private yoga sessions or someone is aging and they're noticing that their balance is going, their flexibility, and that might be one of their goals. Um, Nutrition coach certification, so I do create nutrition plans as well for clients. But yeah, basically, I can also order functional medicine labs, so looking at nutrient deficiencies and toxicities. Most of the time, any disease that exists in a body is because the body's imbalanced. So once you can rebalance that body, disease does not exist.
So do you do you have a studio or a gym or an office? How do you serve your clients in all of the different capacities that
Yes.
you
Yes. I
just
do have
mentioned?
an in-office that I work at out of Tree of Life in Albertville. So that's where I would meet for the weight loss, nutrition, functional medicine labs, that type of work. And then I am a personal trainer at the Monticello Community Center. So I teach group fitness classes there. And so that's typically the gym I would train out of.
So what's one piece of inspiration that drives you or could benefit others?
Really, what's inspired me the most to keep going down this path is just even my own health story, really. My body was falling apart. I was always super fit, athletic, traveled the world competing in different events, but my own health was deteriorating. And started with IBS, random skin rashes, low thyroid. Over time, I moved into a place that also had mold. So then I developed a mold illness. So it was just like, up, down, just one thing after another. And I was getting so frustrated with conventional medicine. I know when I went in to get my lungs x-rayed because I was like, okay, this is crazy. What is going on? It got to a point where I was waking up in the middle of the night just gasping for air. So I went in to get my lungs checked and they were like, no, you just have asthma now. Here's an inhaler. And I'm like, I did not just get asthma overnight. Like
Right.
something is happening. But at this point, I had the power to run labs. And so I ran a mycotoxin lab. I had so many different mycotoxins elevated in my bloodstream. And I'm like, I knew it. I knew it. So my boyfriend at the time, I had moved into his house. And I told him, your house is moldy. We need to get it fixed, checked. He was like, you're crazy. This house is new. I'm like, no. So we had someone come out and they did a petri dish test and came back negative. He's like, see, you're crazy. I'm like, it's this house. I know it. And I insisted we get someone else to come out and test it. And they did the moisture wick, dust test, all sorts of testing for the mold. And they found it. They had built the house wrong. So the shower was leaking the whole time. So thousands of dollars later in remediation.
Right.
But at the same time, that's why I feel it's so important to be your own health advocate. And it's really, I've just seen so many other things that, doctors will say, you'll have this for life. And things have been reversed. And people just don't have that education. So I'm really passionate about sharing it, sharing my story and what I've gone through in the hopes that I can help others as well. And they know that, okay, my doctor says I'm just on this for life. I have no hope. I'm just going to be sick forever. I'm always going to feel this pain. I'm always going to feel this crappy. Can I say that? But even back to, with my thyroid as well, I would ask doctors to run more than just my TSH, because that's what they'll run for your thyroid. I asked them to run a full thyroid panel, and they would tell me that there's no point. There's no point. Your TSH is fine. Well, every woman over the age of 55 on my mom and dad's side has a thyroid condition. So when I finally had the power to run the thyroid panel myself, my free T3 and free T4 were tanked. So eventually I would have been in that same boat. Now, just with nutrition, lifestyle change, other habit changes, I was able to completely get mine in the optimal range.
So I have come across just really recently through some of the networking groups I'm in, other practitioners that do similar things that you do, and they've shared amazing stories, from people that couldn't get pregnant. Oh, they had, this parasite and these other things going on, and sure enough, now they are, almost sounding like a miracle, but yet so simple, because just as you explained, they're looking into what's actually wrong with your body. They're not just throwing a Band-Aid on it or giving you something to make you think that you're better. So how can you help get people to advocate for their own health and realize that they do have choices?
Right. When they come in to see me, most of my appointments with people is all about education. I feel like, I throw a lot of information out there. They always get an email follow-up.
Right.
So you can always report back to that.
Right.
But I'll even, recommend markers that they should have their doctor run, because I will have them go to their doctor if they have insurance and they can get it run. Like, why run it through me?
Right.
Just go to your doctor. But yeah, so I try to teach them and educate them on, all parts of lifestyle that really affect their health.
And so you shared some success stories with a success story. You are a success story with your own health. But is there a client example that you can give of somebody that had a specific ailment or condition that was transformed through?
Yes, I have quite a few.
Practice.
But one of my favorites is actually a lady who had been diagnosed with PCOS. She hadn't had a period for like 17 years. And so the doctor is like, you're infertile. You're not going to be able to have a baby. You'll never have your period again. And she came to see me as a last-ditch effort. Like, my husband and I think we want to have a kid. We don't know what else to do. They just tell me I can't. So we started working on the liver and gut. We didn't even touch hormones. Just after working on the liver and the gut, she got her period. And she was just like, you won't believe what happened. And she was so excited. But kind of a funny story, because then she's like, but, after that happened, my husband and I had a talk, and I don't think we want to have a kid. I was like, okay, you might want to be careful. So, yeah. But it was... so many people, I feel like infertility is such a huge issue these days with how toxic our world is.
It is.
And so I just love helping those people who, have these dreams of having a family, but who feel like they absolutely can't. There are answers out there.
Do you ever wonder that if we could go back in time, knowing what we know now about the body, and that isn't just conventional medicine, but understanding how all the processes in the body work, and with the work that you do and people in your similar field, do you ever wonder if all those cases of infertility maybe weren't just cases of infertility, that they were caused by something else?
And that's what, once the body needs to feel safe and healthy in order to procreate, in order to create a living space for growing another human, you need to have the nutrients. So if your body is completely depleted, it's not going to be able to have a successful pregnancy. Or if you're even in fight or flight all the time, again, your body's not feeling safe. So it'll be harder for you to get pregnant if you're not lowering that cortisol.
So, what is a health myth that you would love to bust once and for all?
You don't have to be perfect in order to be healthy. Even with, it does take a lot of hard work to reverse or rebalance the body once it gets past a certain point. It will be, you know, a little bit harder. You'll have to stick to a routine a little bit more. But once your body's balanced, you can go back to having that 1 to 2 cheat meals a week, getting a little bit more lenient on everyday things. It's not you have to live like this forever. Because I feel like people get stuck in that mindset where, oh, I can never have sugar ever again. I can't do this. Or no, it's for a period of time until you're healthy again.
So, in going back to talking about fertility and having babies, how do you help women with their hormones and even maybe in perimenopause or menopause?
Yeah.
I imagine that's all related into
That's not what we're not taught, right?
Yeah,
like we're not taught
nobody wants to talk about it.
No.
Like, come on, half the population of the world is women, probably more.
Yes. And that's why, so I'm all about the education, right? And so what it comes down to is, again, with my PCOS client who finally got her period back after 17 years, it was liver first. Hormones are processed in the liver. So if your liver's sluggish, think of, alcohol is such a norm in our society, pharmaceuticals, tap water, everything is processed through the liver. And so if the liver is sluggish at all, that's where the hormones are processed. You're not going to have optimal hormone function. Second step is the gut. I mean, everything's tied to the gut, but even in menopause, there's an estrobolome where estrogen is made. And so if the gut is also imbalanced, which so many people also have an imbalanced gut, so if those two are out of whack, you're not going to have optimal hormone function. So we start there. If you're still having hormone issues, then yes, we run a hormone panel. We try, there's certain herbs and supplements you can take, nutrition even, like progesterone promoting foods, that can help you get to feeling so much better.
So how do you start treating people, or what would be their first steps in a treatment program? I mean, obviously, every case is different and some are going to focus more on one thing or another. But just in general, if you were going to start just kind of detoxing the body and getting the gut biome back on track and getting things working in their body again, what would be the steps that they would take, or what would you recommend to try first or do?
That's where the labs come in handy. Unfortunately, I can't take insurance, so insurance does not cover these labs. But looking at the gut, I love to run an organic acids test or a GI map to show if there's any dysbiosis, because again, if your gut is out of whack, your mood, your neurotransmitters, hormones, everything else goes out of whack. So focusing on that test first is usually my go-to. I like to explain that to people. Sometimes people still just want to see a hormone lab no matter what. So I like to use either saliva or a Dutch hormone panel for hormones. And then an HTMA is also useful in mineral rebalancing. So I used to have ADHD really, really bad as well, unmedicated. And it made school so hard for me. But come to find out, ADHD is often tied to 1, brain inflammation, and 2, a zinc and copper toxicity. So when I finally ran my first HTMA lab, I was not shocked to see I had a huge copper toxicity. So once I was able to take only zinc to help drive that copper down and get it balanced, now I take zinc and copper to keep it balanced. So, anytime someone gets a viral or flu, they tend to take more zinc. You just don't want to do that ongoing if you don't know where your copper is, because if you only keep taking zinc, then copper keeps going down. If you're too low in copper, You're going to run into hair, skin, nail issues. So I'm always just trying to find the balance in a body. So whatever a client can afford to run for labs, the more information we can get, the more detailed their protocol can become. But oftentimes people are just coming in for weight loss and they don't even run labs. And that's totally okay too. I like to meet people where they're at. And so if weight loss is your goal, awesome. It's amazing how many people just being on a weight loss program will end up coming in and being like, I didn't tell you this, but I stopped my SSRI last month. And I'm like, did you talk to your doctor? Did you, like, okay. But yeah, so it's just, I like to meet my clients where they're at.
Well, that sounds amazing. I think more people need to be aware that these other thought processes and other people in the health profession are out there and available, that there's not just one answer and one doctor and one way of thinking.
Yes.
I think that everybody should give it at least two tries, get two opinions.
Yeah. I do like to say that, I'm not the quick fix. It takes time. You have to, actually make some lifestyle changes usually, because our society, we're just trained. It's just not, the societal norm is very unhealthy. So yes. I'm used to being the weird one. I'm weird. So if you want to be weird with me.
Hey, it's Will with the Podcast Crew team. Spotlight is a vidcast shot at the Podcast Crew Studios in Minneapolis. We would love for you to be our guest. Email us at the email address on your screen below to get a copy of the upcoming schedule. It's free, it's easy, and it's a great way to try out a podcast or a vidcast with our pro team. We do an in-person, in-studio version if you're in the Twin Cities area, and also an online version if you're somewhere else. We'd love to have you, hear your story, and help you start your podcast journey. Thanks. Get in touch today.